What's poppin', y'all? Your favorite rapper is most likely broke. Well, maybe not exactly broke, but he's definitely nowhere near as rich as you or he would like you to think they are. I know this may sound shocking considering how much flexing rappers do, but it's important we understand the finances behind being a signed artist because maybe some of you might be interested in pursuing that. And before anybody tries to be clever and calls it pocket watching, I'm not talking about no individual. If explaining how business works is pocket watching to you, then it's not my fault you're retarded. But anyway, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. We're specifically talking about signed rappers here, not independent rappers. Because I'm not entirely familiar with how that business model works, since most of them are signed to independent labels, which operate differently from major labels. Now, when you sign to a major label, most acts aren't coming from a position of power or any leverage. For example, when Russ signed, he had done a lot of numbers, had huge shows, etc. He didn't really need a label, so he could approach them with confidence. On the other hand, a lot of rappers sign early, so they don't have leverage and are usually willing to take any deal that looks good to them. Now, the advance is what everybody mentions. So-and-so signed for $2 million or whatever. The advance is essentially a loan by the label that needs to be paid back. I'm sure most of you know this by now. But there are also options in the contract that the record label can exercise whenever they feel fit. For example, they'll give you a year to make an album, and if they like how it performed, they'll most likely keep you for another album, because you're making the money. They have all the power in this situation. If they don't like how your first album did, they can either drop you, tell you to go back in the studio and make another album, and if you don't like being on the label, too bad. You can't do a damn thing about it. Now, I know some of you are asking, alright, what's this got to do with money though? Have some patience, we're getting there. Now, you also need to know that the label owns the music. So even if you get off the label, you can't re-release one of your albums. They own the music, the lyrics, if they have your publishing, and while you're on the label, they own your image, your merchandising, unless there's a negotiated split, but most deals are 360. Creative control, meaning they get the last decision of what they want to be on the album, from artwork to music and publicity. If they tell you to do an interview or anything with the press, you have to do it. Which is why you see a lot of rappers look pissed off or depressed, like they don't want to be there at these radio stations. Because truth is, they don't. They're forced to. Now there's a concept called cross-collateralization when it comes to loans. And it operates in record contracts as well. Let's say an album flopped or didn't do as well as expected. It sells $100K equivalent and makes $1 million. And you as a rapper get a royalty of that. Let's say 20%, which is $200K. And I'm being generous with that estimate. Some of y'all are probably saying, not bad. And some of y'all are probably already thinking, it's stuffed. But wait, there's more. Say the album cost $500K to make in expenses. So guess what happens? You're in the negatives now. And you owe the label $300K. And most likely won't even see the check from that $200K you made from the first album. But the label made a good $500K plus off of it. So they're going to send you back into the studio to make another album so you cover the costs you owe from the first album and the cost from the second one, and you don't get paid until both of those are covered. And this can go on for multiple albums. This is why having such a high advance is good, because you can at least eat while the label is running you dry. The labels are never really paying for anything either. Rappers might say the label is paying for music videos, studio time, producers, engineers, distribution, tour support, radio promotion, and sales and marketing costs. All of that is subtracted from your royalties, or what the label is supposed to pay you. Now when it comes to rappers spending their advance money, that is the best part. Beanie Single broke it down well in an interview a while back, and I might play some clips, but it's long, so I don't think so. I'll just try to paraphrase it. Let's say a rapper gets signed for $2 million. Now, you're getting taxed with the big boys, so you got state tax as well as the income tax and whatever else. He estimates it at $1 million, which I think might be too much, but whatever, we'll just go with that. Then your lawyers are going to want to take 10% to handle all your legal stuff. So you're down to $900,000. Then your management is taking 20%, which is $180,000, bringing you down to $720,000. Then rappers want to buy a crib. Beanie talks about $250K for a crib. They're paying way more than that right now. and they're not buying it in cash. So they buy an expensive crib and they're paying interest on this home. And the same thing with whatever car they bought. They're not buying these cars in cash because if they were, don't you think they would flex it on an IG video? And if they're leasing it, then that's actually not a bad idea. But usually they buy some ridiculous car. And they gotta pay interest on that as well. Then they're buying all this jewelry that's $100,000 or maybe even more. Advance is damn near gone. But they're still the accountants, and they still have to pay this all back to the label. The interest payments is what's really going to eat up the rapper's money. Because when you're making payments, you pay the interest first, and then it gets to whatever the amount you actually bought the house or car for. So if you're making minimum payments, which they most likely are, then it's going to take longer to pay off the car, which means more interest payments. And the same goes for the house, which is most likely a couple million since they're buying it in LA. So these rappers may be generating money, but they're barely getting paid. Unless they're super successful and they're in debt. So their net worth is likely in the negatives. Meaning, if you have no debt and a minimum wage job, you're probably richer than your favorite rapper. Especially if their album keeps flopping and they keep having to drop one after the other to recoup, which is the situation I think Young Thug is in right now. But don't quote me on that. Now, another issue is when the rappers buy all this stuff, they have all this hype and say it costs them $1 million a year to live this lifestyle. They think they're going to be making money to live this lifestyle indefinitely. But when they eventually fall off, which usually happens, now they still owe all this money and they don't even have the income to afford to keep the lifestyle they had already. So you can see where that gets into a bad situation. Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Does being a signed rapper sound less appealing now? Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Peace.